I wanted to do another video off the back of the video I just did around just starting to talk about rest. I wanted to share more examples of what that looks like for me, what that could look like for other people, and like the reality of that right now and the difficulties and challenges that that can bring, and why there's also resistance to it, why it's not acknowledged, to do with stories and programming, to the shadow sides of us, the system, and how I feel we're beginning to acknowledge the importance of emotional intelligence, as well as what's the word I'm looking for? I'm losing. It's like intellect, academic, which I'm not so much of. I'm also neurodiverse. First of all, what has that looked like for me? So what came up then, as I said, that I also want to speak into common law, and there's an invitation to look into this. So my journey of coming back to the earth, coming into relationship with the earth and getting to know the earth, the rhythms of the earth, the law of the earth that I feel resides in all of us, the connection to descending into the womb to remember the wisdom, and the only way that we are going to do that is by connecting to the darkness, to the stillness, to solitude, to being on our own. That already resides, that's been there for God knows how long, since we've come into existence, that I feel, that I know other people feel, and I do feel there is something that connects us in the law and the rhythms of the earth, of our bodies, of our hearts. And to have that, I've had to come into a deep solitude and deep rest. So again, how has that looked? I've stepped away from all my work. I've had no money. I've had to find ways in which, because I know right now on no formal level should I be working, especially if I'm healing different things to do with my body still. And that goes to people that are healing from like chronic PTSD, or from different traumas, or from different dis-eases or things going on in the body. I feel that's just so important. But because there's no systems to support us in that, I've had to find ways to create that for myself, and through asking for help, allowing myself to receive, and that comes with deep wounding. And so that's been one layer, and it's just been different layers of and different masks and illusions coming away, so that I can see deeper. And it's been having a practice daily, which allows me to come into the body, and it's where I connect with touch and the sensations, so sound, breath, touch, movement, which also is deeply healing and allows to release trauma on a very subtle level, but very transformative. And it's something I've deeply embodied, that I know I want to also, and I do beginning to share. My connection with nature, and mine's as I spoke to before, like the connection with ancestral land. I have long to connect to, which I've been on a journey with too, and connecting to my Celtic roots. There's still other roots I have yet to connect to, I feel, which lie more within the passionate, fiery Latin side of me, which is in there. That's been another layer. And just learning to deeply be with the emotional body, to allow for everything to move through, to acknowledge what triggers me, what traumas are present, what are my distractions, addictions, and as I leave one, another one can come forward. So it's like being with all of that, but also not allowing it to rule our lives. And it's kind of, it is our journey. This is my life. This is my path. This is my choice. And for me, I feel like that's already there, and kind of whatever we do, it's leading to that, but we still do have a choice. And then I question, is that still our destiny, or do we have a choice? And that's one thing. And it's a willingness and a courage to step through the norm and what the system creates, as it creates a heaviness and a fear that holds us in this system, that stops us from stepping out because it doesn't want us to. Let's be real. What would happen if we were all to do that? Which eventually, of course, that is going to need to happen for change to happen. So, a cat's playing plastic. So those are some ways I've created change in cultivating rest. And it has had to it's going against the grain completely when I'm also needing to get help from the system and explaining, I'm here to rest, I'm here to be and be of example. I can't be doing all this work, and I'd be there's no way I would say that, because they just think I'm going crazy. But there definitely is a Miko. There's been so much medicine in stepping away from the system and making that very steady initiation into the earth, that very steady kind of transition away from one system and into another, and looking at what things I need to put into place to start making those steps. And again, just letting go of how that's going to look has been another unraveling. But me moving into my van, knowing that was what I needed to give myself at that time, and allowing myself that space and that solitude, but it still allows me to be in community and move around, and it gives me that freedom. And that for one thing was my beginning of like really stepping out of the system, and I started to look into common law and the understanding of that. And so it can be really hard for in steps of how to begin in giving this to ourselves. And when we start to move this energy through the body, it's really allowing these dormant energies to really move through our life force energy, which allows us to be in this state of joy and beauty all the time, and state of pleasure, and finding that in everything, not just like, you know, the happy moments. It can obviously depend on where we are in our lives and the situations that we have at hand, and our karmic things that we are here to be with, right? That looks different for all of us. But it's just one small thing that we can start giving ourselves, because it's never can we give or do anything else without descending and giving to ourselves first. And it can be celebrated to overgive and to think of everybody else before we think of ourselves. And it's how can we begin to start cultivating just that little bit of space and that little bit of time to being. And you know, rest is a way of being. Rest can look different for all of us. What does that look like for us? What does that look like when we feel in rest? So for me, it would be being in solitude and just being still, or going and sitting in nature, or walking in nature, something where I feel completely in the moment and I feel rested, I feel at peace. And from that, creating that kind of stillness in the body and groundedness that can move throughout my day, then I'm able to move throughout my day in a very different way. And it allows me to kind of play the game of the system. And now I'm getting to know the game, like we start playing Monopoly or whatever it is, knowing the rules and just understanding and not treating it so seriously. It's like it stopped beginning to stop affecting my nervous system so much. So I want to keep this more short and concise, but that's just something to sit with, and the medicine of rest, the medicine of beginning to descend. Love to you all.